What's up guys, Celestial here again, bringing you another tip video. This time it's for Elden Ring, and this is some tips for when you're starting the DLC or just slightly before you start the DLC, but there is a couple for while you're in here too. So I was a bit disappointed with the fact that this DLC doesn't have achievements, but for some reason my brain remembered that there was achievements in the other Dark Souls games for the DLC, but there's not. But anyway, we carry on, and here's some tips and tricks to get you started in the DLC. This DLC is quite hard, by the way, so get used to dying a lot. So first tip is level Vigor. Vigor is your health in this game, and 50 seems to be an okay point. So obviously my character is 50, as you can see here. A couple of my friends have 60 plus Vigor, or maybe even more, and they are still getting 2-tapped by pretty much every boss in this game. The normal enemies as well can also 2-shot you, which is a bit strange in this game, because usually the enemies would not just 1 or 2-shot you. As you can see with this clip here, this is one of the first bosses I came across in the game, and this clip here is just to show you how much the damage actually is. So I'll avoid any massive hits like this, just to show you guys. But that was just one normal hit. That's a grab, so if you get grabbed by that you're pretty much dead. And then I'm trying to see if he'll show me one more proper hit. So 2 shots. So I think that's technically 3 shots, because it looks like that ticked my health twice there. But that's one of the first bosses, and he will 2-tap you pretty much with most of his abilities, and that's at 50 Vigor. So the way to improve this is tip number 2. So like I said, tip number 2 factors into tip number 1, which is survivability. So you find these items scattered about the world called skidoo tree fragments. You also find ashes as well, but that improves your ashes and your horse. If you're using summons, fair enough, but I don't tend to use summons. These improve your survivability, so apparently they increase your defense and offense as well. Haven't really seen much help with the defense, but any help is good in this sort of DLC. But I haven't really heard much from other people saying they're making much of a difference when it comes to bosses 2-shotting you. But what you do is you just basically go to a grace, you level up your ashes or you level up your stats, and this basically just helps you survive a little bit longer or maybe deal a little bit more damage. The third tip is for the new tiers. So the new tiers are dropped by these big fire Goliath things. So you can probably see one right in the distance. The little fire pit looks really small from this distance, but it's huge up close. And they're not actually very difficult to fight. So the way you fight them is you just stay on horseback and you jump to avoid the fire that they throw out. Jumped a little bit too early in that encounter there, but as long as you get back up you're fine. If you're too far away, they'll just start spamming fire from their heads, and also they'll try and kick a lot of fire at you like this. But what you want to do is you just keep hacking at their ankles until you hear this. You'll hear it a couple times and then they'll fall over, and you just get off your horse and stab them in the face. You'll probably have to do that a couple times, but to be fair, they are very easy for what they are. And then once they're dead, you'll get the new tiers, and you'll also get some little visage from them, which I'm guessing is some sort of crafting material for later on. Another tip for survivability is the Rune Arcs. Do you guys remember these? They're the ones that activate the Great Runes from the original game. The Great Runes are just things that give you more stats, essentially. I use Godric's one because that's actually a really strong rune, and the Rune Arcs are what activate them. They're kind of limited, but just try and not die all the time when you're using them. And then you also have this item called the Iris of Occultation, which is a new item in the DLC, and I've only found one so far, but they do the exact same thing as Rune Arcs, but they take all your runes when you use them. So if you can find more of them, great, but just an extra way to activate your Great Rune, which will give you more health, more damage, more defense, all that sort of stuff. Probably not going to help you save a hit from death, but at least more survivability for you and more damage. This last tip is more of a tip overall. It's more just for your own enjoyability. Just play the game you want to play. Don't let someone force you into saying, oh, you need to not use summons, you need to use strength weapons, you need to not roll, you need to not wear armor, you need to do this, you need to do that, don't use magic, etc. Play the game you want to play. If you want to play with 2 big-handed axes like I do, use them. If you want to use these 2 broken blood katanas, use them. If you want to use magic, use that as well. Just play the game the way you want to play it. If you want to use the mimic tier, go ahead. Don't let anyone else dictate the way you play this game. You play games for enjoyment, so enjoy the game. If you're not enjoying it by doing it the way that other people are playing it, make your own build. Do it the way you want to do it. Enjoy the game, guys. Hopefully these tips have been helpful. Leave me a comment down below on how you feel about this game and what you think the DLC is like so far, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.